just work. I
All right, that
changed
actually works a lot better. You actually sound a lot more clearer than I was expecting.
the noise suppression crisp. I had to change that. So
Yeah, that changed a lot. Now, I will inform you on what is on my screen. OBS, my fucking task overlay, your name, and our most current DM. All right. Those will be updated in real time as we talk. All right. So basically, when you send me evidence, it sends whatever is on the screen as evidence. All right.
ooh boy. Oh man.
So make
No,
sure
I'm
you're
just
make
I'm
sure
just
you're very selective
I
on what
mean,
you
hey,
show.
look, hey, it's just some of this stuff has to come out. Somebody
Some of
has
it
to
does.
hear it.
Plus, I'll probably
Yeah.
censor it myself, depending on the situation. But either way, I don't really care about what particular language you use, all right, as I already cuss myself a little bit too much, actually way too much, but it's funny. And also, I kind of just talk like that sometimes, okay?
Oh yeah, no, you good. I've been in the military for a while, so I'm I'm used to that.
Uh, bro, the military. Another one. What
Oh,
corps?
I was in the army,
Ah, okay, okay, okay. My friend is
13
in the
years.
Marines, and I think there was a lady
Uh,
who was in infantry.
oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I don't know
funny
anything
enough, I
about
have
military shit.
well, funny enough, I do have someone that is actually they're currently in the military and they're gonna be exposed on here. So,
Oh, that's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate. All right, give me a general synopsis of what you would like to cover.
um,
Try to make it as much of a
mostly,
summary as you can, or
oh
a
man,
title, that kind of format.
oof. I guess I don't know how to put it really because I don't want to make it too long. Just I guess the problems in terms of the furry fandom and what's happening specifically here in Oklahoma, the furry community in Oklahoma.
Interesting, interesting. Huh. Okay. To be totally honest with you, right? When it comes to IRL furries, that's something that I don't particularly deal with too much, only because IRL gets very messy, right? And we can't
Oh
really
yeah, yeah, yeah.
pull in information as readily available as we can when we are online, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I do still encourage you to describe the situations as they may still cross reference over to really any part of the furry community, right? But do understand that when you do mention so, depending on how people are in your area and mine, will have completely contrasting ways of going about being a furry.
Oh yeah, that's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm from like a hooded area that's used to dealing with people that are particularly poor. So this means we're a very aggressive breed of individual, and kind of stupid.
No, I know. I've lived in the projects, if you will. I've lived in that type of environment before.
Okay, okay. But anyway, continue.
So the I guess to start how if because this it's gonna be a long one. I gotta try to condense as much as I can to make sense of it. But so I was overseas in South Korea at the time when I had joined the Oklahoma furry community. Um, it was roughly I think I was over there for about a year and
Mm-hmm.
I came back in 2023. So that year I went to one of the conventions there and I was, trying to get back into it because I knew I was going to be, leaving out of the military within a couple months. And I was trying to find some people to talk to try to get, you know, get a gist of what the Oklahoma community was in terms of the furry community was like. So once I had obviously, talked to a few people. Um, I was trying to get a fursuit made, which I finally got one made, but it wasn't until later. But I started noticing patterns. Like I was starting to talk to people, and then people were like, "Oh, how'd you get my information?" And this, that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "Okay, well, somebody gave it to me." So I mean, I'm not sure if that's like what's the issue. It got to a point where the person who I was talking to, they got upset. Um, I don't know what it was, why they just went on a rant. Um, I went the next year I went to a Anthro Expo is what it's called. Went to that convention, and that's when the rumors started. I had just got there. I'm not shitting you, man. The con literally just started, and there was rumors already started. So I was like, what the fuck? Um, I have a friend of mine that staffs. He usually staffs there, and he was telling me. He said, "Yeah, so there's rumors about you." I was like, "All right, man, just tell me what it is." I was like, I just got here and already I'm having to deal with bullshit." So he said, I was like, "Oh, well, apparently you're like handsy, a stalker, weird, and invade people's spaces." So I was like, "Okay, I don't." What the hell? Like that was it was so random because I don't know the specifics. To this day, I still don't know who made the rumor. I still don't know the details, if you will. The only detail he gave me years later, which was actually this year recently, was it was a attendee who was offended for their friend that which I know that doesn't sound or it doesn't make any sense.
Actually, it
And
does, but I'm letting you continue and say your full piece before I interrupt.
oh, okay. Yeah, well, for me at least, it just didn't make sense. But when he told me that, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not a valid, it's not a
Exactly.
valid reason. But yeah, so I said, okay, wow. Come to find out that the staff member, it was a different staff member who was at that con at that time. They're gone now, which I told them finally, but
I'm
they
telling you.
left. But the at the time while they were there, with the attendee was a friend of theirs and they went straight to them. So and this person is a part of HR. Yeah, th- that's when my staff friend talked to him and or whoever and was like, why are you going off of rumor rather than something
Evidence.
factual? Yeah, and evidence. And they gave him a vague response and then he was like, well, why didn't you come talk to me? He's like, "Oh, I don't want any, conflict of interest, this, that, or something." Another vague
Conflict of
response.
interest.
Yeah, yeah, that kind of bullshit. It was
That's
like his
anonymous.
response was shit. So there's another staff person I met who's security there at Antho Expo. He goes by Orange. Yes, I'm mentioning his name because most people
Um,
already know who he is.
I don't mind if you mention names, and reason being is because obviously, if we're going to be exposing, talking about drama, or covering the truth, right? You can't really cover the truth if you're willing to withhold who's involved, right?
Right.
Obviously. But before you continue, all right, I will go over some things about what you said, right? You said at some point, right, there was rumors spread around about you that seem to be vague in nature, and you have no idea who's the actual source of it, right?
Like no one does. Like literally, I've asked
Yeah,
everybody,
I
and they're
know.
just,
No, I'm asking you to confirm the information. That way, when I relay what I'm about to say, it is something
oh,
that you
okay,
can second. So that
okay,
does sound accurate, right?
yep,
Okay. So here's what I've noticed about the furry community, and I've said this many times before. The issues you deal with inside of VR chat are actually issues that you would deal with IRL. The only difference is that you can't teleport, right? And people can't teleport to you. Therefore, the frequency is much lower, but the issue is the same. So you experience what I just like to call friend bias, right? Where you know someone's doing something fucked up, or you know quite literally it has no semblance of rationality, but because that's your homie, you automatically have a bias towards believing them anyway. Whoever the fuck they're talking bad on, despite not having any evidence, despite not having any real proof of it, most people in the furry community are not going to do an investigation on their homie. They're going to believe it and go from there. You get me? Which is what you just experienced.
yep,
And because furries have this same mental state where they don't want to deal with drama, so they'll believe anything and then shy away, right? Because that's how most furries are. They don't want to deal with drama. They want to have fun. They want to be goofy. They would be cute. Drama is not cute. Being an adult is not cute. Having an investigation is not cute, right? They'll just believe it because it's the easier option, right? And then they will simply go from there. Which I think is exactly what you went through because obviously, if there's no evidence, it should be innocent until proven guilty, but apparently, that's not the case. Not in this furry
exactly,
community, on
yeah,
average,
and
right?
that's what happened with me. Yeah,
Basically,
so
that's what happened with you, right?
yeah, and then it's gotten to the point where because so the first issue I speaking of when it comes to friends, I warned my friend when I first got here. I warned him about what was happening here in the Oklahoma furry community, and I've known him for like 2 decades. Now I'm gonna expose his name because I don't really give a shit about this dude. He wants to sit here and believe rumors. Excuse my language. Fuck him. So he goes by Eddie Fox, and he lives in Texas, and he has his little it's like a vendor that he has. It's called Craft Fox Boutique. Um, I was given the information that he had did some tax evasion, and I'm like, oh, so he has zero room to talk. um, but from my understanding is when I explained to him, I said, hey, this is what's happening. These rumors start up about me, da da da, and I was helping him out in terms of his vendor, and he was at that con actually that year, and he sent me a text. Now I have the log. It's like I'd have to find the actual file log because he sent me a message where I asked him, I said, hey, is everything okay? He was like, yeah, no. It's like, you know what you did, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't, he was just randomly saying and shit and just being, again, vague. So, um,
I
he
have
was like, oh, you
noticed
should,
that when it comes to furries, right? They do like to keep a lot of information that would normally be damning, problematic, exposing, or just lead to drama, right? As vague as possible. They don't mention names. They don't mention specifics. They'll act on them and they'll still form an opinion off of the things they hear. But when it comes down to how you say actually looking through them, right, objectively, instead
right.
of being too scared to really do so, they kind of just say screw it and just believe whatever is in the mind first. I find
Or
that to
that
be
they're
a
being
very dumb
told.
thing.
Yeah. And that's what happened with me is that, I'm sitting here asking questions like, what are you talking about? Like, what? I don't understand what you're going off on. So that's when, like I said, he was saying, oh, you should apologize, this, that. So yeah, I didn't really understand until later because it was just wait, like everything happened all at once at that con. So I was like, what the hell is going on? First,
Yeah,
some
okay.
random person with these rumors, and then now my friend.
Yeah,
So
you
I
experienced it
saved,
firsthand. Ooh.
yeah, I saved the conversation and I said, fuck it. Okay. I said, from now on, I'm going to have to start saving conversations off of because this is all through Telegram.
Yeah.
So I saved everything and he actually deleted it. And I was like, oh, yeah, nice try. Get fucked. So I deleted, or
Saved it.
excuse me, saved everything. Yeah. He deleted the whole chat. But like I said, I already saved stuff and I had what was it, like later on that year I started finding more and more and more information. Not only just from within the Oklahoma furry community, but just,
In
the fandom
general.
as a whole of what's happening. Yeah. So even in well, like VR chat, I know there's some issues there too.
In VR
But
chat, it's just as bad, if not worse. So, first
right,
things first, all right. Obviously, in the real world, there are real world repercussions, right? You do something fucked up, you get arrested, right? You fucking fight somebody, you get hit back, right? And you can actually feel it,
right.
yada 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 yada. In VR chat, everyone is technically on an equal streak, right? Because it's an argument of words, right?
Oh wow.
That's just kind of how it is. This means you can be completely disabled. Like let's just say your body, like your lower body, is paralyzed. You can't do shit. Guess what? You don't have any more power or any less power. All right, than a person who is physically abled, and vice versa. Why? Because in VR chat, I can't physically do anything. There is
Right.
no there is nothing like that really. So certain concepts don't really make like sense. Like, oh, they punched me and I was offended because he punched me. It's like, okay, well, it's in VR chat. That sounds kind of silly, don't you think? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Stuff like that, right? The idea of like forced action IRL. Obviously, I'm of using that word in specific because we both know what I'm referring to. But forced action IRL obviously is a problem because it can be forced. You can physically do something. If you're more imposing than someone else, you could force them to do something they don't want to do physically, right? In VR chat, you'll hear some people complain that they were forced to do something, when in reality, the block button and the unadd button is very much so available. You know, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
easy. Now, the reason why I pointed out like that, right, and say it like that is when it comes down to furries or just people in general, to protect face or their own personal presence socially, they are very willing to burn somebody else down if they feel even a slight bit of inconvenience or wronged. Now, what that might be is up for debate, literally, because for some furries, right, they're very resilient and they don't get offended by anything. You can do some of the most horrid shit and they'll still kind of be like, whatever, bro, you didn't do it to me, I don't give a fuck, or is what is, right? But for some other furries, like I would say a good average amount of them, right, you could do something as much as just vocalize an opinion that they don't like, right? And they will
Yep.
simply make sure that the world burns around you because you said something that they don't particularly like or that they're not used to hearing. Even if it's the truth, they'll still be like, "What the
Oh.
fuck? I can't believe you just told me the truth. Who are you?" You know what I mean? Like that's a very average thing for furries to do.
Yeah, that's about, like I said, what was going on with all the stuff that, I've been explaining to people. So, one of the staff members at TFF, when I told him the rumor that was said about me, he literally got up out because he was like laying in his bed. He literally got up and looked at me like I was crazy because he knows me. He knows I'm not that type of person.
Well, yeah,
So he he was just like, "What the hell?" Like this.
exactly, right. But that's another thing that I've like tried to tell a lot of people. First things first, all right. Simply by knowing me, you might be hated in a specific amount of communities depending on which ones. I'm predominantly hated in the NSFW community. Other communities, I don't have any issues with. It's just the NSFW one. Because go figure, when you're so eager for validation, attention, and honestly acceptance that you're willing to shake ass and suck dick just to get it, right? When someone
Ah,
comes by and they
yes.
say, I don't fuck with that, you seem like an individual that needs validation just to function. They don't feel too good about it, right?
Oh,
Go
yeah.
figure. You hear
Oh
that
man.
a lot, right?
Speaking of not safe for work, man, yeah, I've seen that
Those
happen. Yeah.
those people are a whole different breed. They're so used to the idea of all I got to do is suck some dick, right? That the moment something that actually requires them to not do that or requires them to be an adult, they seem to be out of practice. That's the best way I could
Oh,
describe it. They seem to not get it, be out of practice, or don't have the mental capacity to handle whatever's going on. So, like with your situation, right? I would say that it kind of just boils down to a difference of opinion, right? That's how I would handle it. Just like, okay, sure, you don't agree with me, I don't like you, yada yada yada, whatever, right? Move on with our fucking day. But
oh yeah,
spreading
yeah.
them because specifically what happened, right, is that they don't like the fact that you know too much. That's their issue.
Mhm.
They're confused on how you know so much. And the only way you know so much is because you've heard something through another person, right? You didn't seek it out. You didn't get it yourself. You didn't dig. You didn't investigate them. You, from what I understand, were just told general information about a person that people had known about mutually
Multiple.
between you, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty normal. Except, I guess people are so used to others forgetting this information, or maybe, I don't know, not used to people
Yep.
actually giving a fuck enough to remember shit, right? That the moment someone is like, oh, wait, I know about you, it freaks them out. As I describe it in VR
Ah,
chat, because we have a very similar thing in VR chat, describe it as the mask. The mask is off. Whatever the fuck you've been hiding so deeply inside of your heart or soul, right, that you don't want anybody else to see, has just been
mhm.
exposed to one individual. That's just how it works. That one person
Yeah.
figured it out because they either have so much emotional awareness or experience to back up their overall way of being that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to them to figure out something so basic. That's how I would describe what happened to you. You ended up figuring out something or ended up hearing enough and retained the information and told somebody
Filling
that
up.
it that's probably was hiding shit.
Yeah, and I have there's actually a quote that another friend of mine said best, and he said, "I find it annoyingly contradictory to be in a smut chat based on meeting locals to shag, and when someone takes them up on the offer, they clam up and screech how their privacy has been violated. That's a special kind of asinine stupidity, and one of the few things that genuinely gets me riled up."
Ah,
And
that's a whole nother thing that I understand as well. As I've told people, I find it funny that you complain and yammer on about how people might treat you like an object and you feel alone, and then you do nothing but objectify yourself and push people who are good that will stick by you away. Let you stop sucking dick for one fucking day. Let's see what happens, is what I tell them. Let's see what the fuck happens when you start rejecting people for sexual advances. Let's see how many people stick around. For those who do, those are your good friends. But for those who are just like, damn, you want to fuck and then we'll leave in VR chat, guess what? That means that those are the motherfuckers I'm talking about that aren't really your friends. They're a friend of convenience.
oh man, I can't even. Yeah, I agree on that. It's
Yeah,
that's
a lot of
perfect.
people agree on it. The issue is that we have another problem, IRL and VR chat, that is ever so prevalent that it annoys the fuck out of me, but everyone seems to be like instinctually aware of it and subconsciously aware of it, but when it comes to being
but don't
actively
say
aware of
anything.
it, they don't get it. Accountability.
Yeah, yeah.
People
Oh man,
don't like taking accountability. Saying that
yep,
you did something fucked
exactly.
up is really, really hard, even when you know absolutely you did something fucked up. You get me?
Yep, yep. And
So,
that's yeah. That is what I've had a few people that had. Well, there was actually someone else I was talking to. They said the same thing. Accountability. There's not enough of that. The other thing that bothers me though, which it's really weird, um, but I know it's kind of happening in certain conventions, but you have certain toxic people or people who have like a bad background or whatever, and they end up as staff in these,
oh,
convention
that's the same
spaces.
thing that happens inside of fucking VR chat. By the way, I find it funny,
Yep.
right? Because I've told people the same issues that happen IRL happen, all right, in VR chat, different frequency, as I repeated to you like probably twice already, right?
Yeah.
But usually they don't understand that concept because they may not have a life at all, right? They don't deal with these things at all, right? Because to explain to someone the idea of morality or ethics or what's socially acceptable, they have to be in a society in the first place. So if they don't go outside, they're technically not contributing or being a part of a society. So they may not understand societal norms, right? That
Yep.
is an issue that I see very often in VR chat. Someone who is unequipped emotionally or just straight up mentally, right? To just deal with a social problem. Because that's what you are when you're on staff. You are a person that is supposed to be socially able to decide, judge, and execute whatever the fuck is needed in that moment, depending on the individuals involved. However, I find that the most average people that get added are not people who are, actually know what they're doing, right? But people who know a person.
Right, yeah.
So they'll be
And
fucked up to
that's
one
why.
dude, but everyone else, they'll be fucked up to like a bunch of other people. But that one person just so happens to have more power than all those other fucking people. So that person will become staff anyway, because that one person has more power than them. So they could just make who they want staff, and they usually go with favorites.
Yeah, now that so luckily at Anthro Expo, there was like what was it? It was two staff members that got removed because they allowed, some minors into an 18 plus area. And I was like, well, finally, somebody else that's gone or, more toxic people. It's like, why, you're not doing the proper screening? Like, what the hell's going on? You had these people in
Because
for how long?
some people are fucking incompetent, which is another problem in itself. A lot of people, especially my fucking age, are incompetent. By the way, I'm gonna make a guess, right? And I'm fine being wrong. Being wrong sometimes is very, very good, especially for the things that I describe, right, and talk about. All right, I'm guessing the predominant number of people that you interact with on an average basis is between the age group of 20 to 30.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. All right, good. Then that means it's very accurate for me to say that you're dealing with predominantly man babies, basically fucking adult children, all right? Insensitive fucks that don't have any emotional awareness, people who don't understand the idea or even the relevance of fucking convictions whatsoever, and have a lack of discipline so egregious that when they fuck up, they don't even understand the concept of apologizing despite acknowledging what they did was wrong. All right?
Yep.
So also there's that critical lack of situational awareness, self-awareness, emotional awareness, and then self-understanding, and then other understanding. So there are a lot of things that would normally make you, how you say, a respectable 40-year-old, right, or a respectable person or an adult. They don't have on average, more often than not.
Yeah, I've had a lot of furs. They tell me like, "Oh man, there needs to be more people like you." Or like, "Man, why aren't there more people like you?" And I tell them, I'm like, "There is, but the thing I've always said, because it always happens, I said, people like me, you even, we get shunned
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
people don't want the truth to come out. They don't want to be exposed." And I'm like, "Fuck that." I'm like Cat Williams. No, all lies would be exposed. Fuck all that. I don't
Hell
have
yeah.
time for bullshit. I've been in the military for too long. I'm sick of bullshit. So when I start gathering all this information, it's like, yeah, no, y'all people need to be exposed. Why? Because you've done this stuff. Y'all know
You
what
guys
you
have done
did.
some fucked
So
up shit. Yeah. It's a shame to say
and
it, but the fucked up part is that these people could be like us. They just don't want to put in the effort and they don't want to put in the time. There's
Right.
there's no shortage of people that could change. And that's the one thing that keeps me talking about stuff like this. Because let's be honest, if there was really no ability to change anything, there's no point in talking about anything because there's no ability, right? But people can be taught, people can be converted, people can be just in some way changed, right? When it comes to these specific ideals. Of course, at their own pace and leisure, right? Because, not everyone is supposed to move at the pace of another person, right? There's no curriculum with this type of thing. There's no curriculum that will teach how to be a better person and make it effective for everybody. Everyone's too different for that. Their brain works too differently for that. But they can learn if they want to. And that's the biggest thing. Most people don't want to.
Yeah. And that's so I was gonna also send you the information of the conversation. I have it's not a log, it's actually an image because the original log, he deleted that whole thing. It was like a year ago. We were
What the
talking
fuck,
for like a
really?
year, 2 year, yeah. But this is the image I'm about to send as far as when I was at the convention, and I'm like, what are you going on about or whatever? Like that could be, et cetera, like all that stuff that's in there. So again, this all happened while I was at the con. This was 2024 Anthro Expo. Um, After that, uh, there was certain chats that I was in that I got removed from. Like I think it was about a couple of months later,
Possibly, yeah.
and yeah,
They
and I'm
stick
like,
around.
why am I getting? Yeah, and I was like, why the hell am I
So
getting
here's
removed?
the thing. Here's the thing, right? And I'm sorry for interrupting you. I experienced something very similar, not even a couple of days ago, really. Sorry, no, a couple of days ago, right? So when you get a stigma developed by you, right? Like there's people saying anything about you. You could have reasons behind the things you say. It doesn't really matter because the stigma is negative, right? Most furries don't give a fuck about a good portion of whatever the fuck you are or what you've done. They care about how socially accepted you are to a degree, right? So some people will hear the fact that you're a dickhead, an asshole, piece of shit, this, that, this, and the other, right? And even if the evidence seems more like a personal beef, right, meaning that it doesn't involve them, they'll hear about it from somebody else because that's ultimately what this is, a personal beef between you and another person making claims, right? They'll still judge you off of that, even if they're not friends with that person.
Right.
You get me?
Yeah.
Being an asshole is not a socially acceptable thing in the most conventional way. You get me? So if someone hears that, they're gonna be like, "Oh no, I don't fuck with this person."
Yeah,
And
and
even
it's
if you've done
that's why
something,
I
same
said
thing.
it's yeah, I was gonna say that's why a lot of people like you and I, for example, and I like other people have said the same thing of, oh man, there needs to be more people like you, or there needs to be more people like da da da. It's like we get shunned. That's the problem.
Well,
We
yeah, the
don't.
best way
Nobody wants to
to
hear or be around us.
I was telling my friend group about this, right? But what I said to them, right, is the best way to shut somebody up is to convince everyone that what they're saying is bullshit. Because when no one's listening, you might as well just be quiet anyway. That's just kind of how that generally works, right? I've said a lot of things. I've also told people a lot of my own practices, right? They'll agree objectively, but when it comes to them actually now following or practicing it, because I don't really accept a lot of people that are willing to kind of be like, oh, yeah, I agree, but never follow the practice. I just don't want to be around them. Now, of course, that's my right and decision to make. I might even tell them I don't feel like fucking with this because of yada, yada, yada. From me doing those one or that one thing alone, I've been told that I am controlling, even if they ask me to help them with that practice, right? That stigmatism of being controlling is now spread around in the predominant community that I am immediately accessing half the time. To the point that people will hear my name and block me on the spot without even interacting with me. I will even have a positive interaction with them. And they'll still be like, oh, yeah, I don't fuck with this guy. Because my friends are saying that he's a terrible person, right? I have my own
That's
evidence, which they don't know about. But guess what? I can't get to them because online I get blocked. IRL, I'd be able to at least show them a video.
yeah. And that's what happened with me. That's actually what happened with another friend. I it's been a long time. And matter of fact, since speaking of VR chat, he actually does a lot of VR chat. Um, and he goes by like Ico or Eco Harbinger, I think. At least how he pronounces his name. But I was in his group chat, and this literally happened recently. At least it was like a couple of weeks ago. Um, but I got removed from the chat, and I'm like, what the hell happened? I don't know. And then I had two people that I knew from the chat already spoke to them before, And I sent them a message saying, "Hey, what happened? Like, or can you make sure I'm in the group chat or whatever?" And they said no, and I was like, "What the hell?" So, one of them was like, "Well, talk to the chat owner. I don't know. I don't want to be a part of the drama, whatever."
Dude, I
And I'm
find
like,
it
"Well,
funny when people do that shit. I don't want to be part of this, even though I'm part of the staff team that manages all of this. Oh
they're
shit.
just yeah, no, you're good. They're just one of the random people that are in the chat room. They're not like a admin in the chat or anything. It was just I told them, I'm like, well, I can't talk to them because they blocked me. So how can I message them if they block me? That doesn't, you kind of defeating the
Yeah.
purpose here, telling me to do something. But yeah, no, and then actually because we talked for years. We've known each other since like Second Life days. That's how far back we go. So um the chat that we had, it deleted all of it. He deleted the whole chat and then blocked me. And that's been obviously a reoccurring thing. If people don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah, I want to be a
talk to
part
you,
of
block
that.
you,
Yeah.
whatever, yeah, they'll delete the whole chat and block you. Or they'll delete the whole chat and then they'll just not block you, which is kind of confusing to me. But yeah, no, that
Well,
is what I've
for that,
noticed. The
that's a
thing.
different thing. That's a smaller thing, right? For some reason, okay. Well, actually, no, I know the reasoning, but unadding and blocking people has a stigmatism with it. To do so is apparently rude or just straight up would cause drama or problems. So if you are afraid of drama, problems, or just being rude, or you're a people pleaser, you tend not to block people even if they do fucked up shit. I've actually had arguments with people, right? About guys that have evidence of them fucking children or being involved in children or lying about age, right? And I'll be like, you need to unadd this motherfucker now or block this person. And sometimes I'll even be like, I can't be around you if you're fucking with somebody that did these types of things, right? And guess what? They'll be like, well, I don't do unadding people or blocking people, bro. I can't do that. And I'm like, bro, that is the most mentally weak
That's a you
shit
problem.
ever. There's evidence of them being fucking criminals, and you still can't fucking do it. What's wrong with you? Why you? I don't
That's insane.
understand why you still allowing this shit, right?
And that's yeah, I don't even know why Ico, blocked me. My assumption is because he heard a rumor from someone. He had to because I don't really get on VR chat like that a lot like he does. So
Mm-hmm.
it something's going around. And that's the thing is that whoever's spreading the rumors, I'd love to say, "Hey, stop that shit." Cuz there's unless you have actual
Most likely, it
evidence or
was
proof,
somebody
there's
that you offended in some way. All right, that just doesn't have anything better to do except spread rumors or whatever the fuck you guys were, right? Because sometimes usually the people who hate you the most are the people who ever loved you the most was so impacted by whatever you did to make you guys not be involved that they literally can't get over it. So they're just spreading around rumors to justify never having to see you.
so the thing is I don't know. That's the problem is that I was
You don't know.
only well, I was not even that, but I wasn't even here in Oklahoma that long. At the time when all that shit went down, I was only in Oklahoma for barely a year, technically, because at the time, I didn't come back, like I said, until like January of 2023 from my overseas duty. So I had just got there, and then all of this stuff started happening, the next year. So I was like,
I
I
would
don't.
just explain that I don't have a history with the furry community that actively in the first place. And in the first, like if I was you, I'd be like, I have never really been in the community ever. This is like one of my first events. How am I supposedly having a
Well,
reputation for
yeah,
doing all these things if I'm literally not
exactly.
around? I've been in
But
military
that's the
service
thing.
for too long.
Yeah, I was on a 5-year hiatus. So I had just got back, and then, like I said, all these rumors just started happening. So that's why I was like, I don't understand what the hell just happened. The only thing, like I said, from what I was told is just someone was offended for their friend,
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't
the
know about
thing
all
is that,
this.
well, what's worse is when I got kicked, I caught it in time. I did catch it in time. It's gonna take me a while to find that,
That's
but
fine.
when I got removed from one of the group chats that I was in, there was a bot and it had the reasoning of why I was removed. And it said reason is behavior towards a mod that required someone to remove them from the situation. Just fuck off in general. That's the
So
exact
someone
phrase.
abusing their power, basically.
Yeah, I have no idea what
That's
that
sick.
means. Yeah,
That
I have,
means
but
that
even
someone was
the way
abusing their authority. It means that a mod, all right, or literally a mod, one of the people you offended is a mod, all right? And because they have the authority to get rid of you without having to consult with anyone, it means that they've been doing that. Essentially, they've been doing it for so long or so effectively because they're a mod.
And I
So
don't. It's like, well,
I don't
did
know
that
who
person
needs
get
it.
removed too? Like, I
No,
mean, because
you got
if they've been
you
doing it,
basically got immediately sniped by a mod. This means that whoever the fuck else might have been involved in that situation, that's the mod bot just giving a general directive as to what it was told, right? Because let's face it, there is no specific for well, there is a specific for it, but it probably wasn't set up in that way because it wouldn't be justifiable enough. If let's say if I was a mod, right, and I kick somebody for no reason, and because I'm a mod, not the owner, I do have someone to answer to, right? If I say I kick someone because I didn't like them, or if I kick somebody without a proper reasoning, just behavior, and someone's like, "Why'd you kick this person?" Right? I have to now answer for that. And if I don't have a good enough reason or a good enough lie, I might get fucked over. But if I say that somebody was beefing with somebody else and was disrespecting me in the middle of that beef, right, to the point that I had to remove them, that justifies the action and the cause.
I guess it's
You
just I'm still confused because that. Well, this was just from the bot, not from the bot itself. It was just that was the message that was put in there of why I was removed. But it
right?
didn't say like, because someone that was in there that I met when I had got back, like I said, from South Korea, um, they mentioned to someone else the same thing. Is like, oh, apparently he was called a sex offender. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now that's a new
Oh
one
yeah,
too. That was another new
that's
thing that came
yeah,
up.
that is a wild thing to
Huge.
fucking say to
Yes.
somebody.
A
That's a wild thing to
very
spread around. You got very unfortunate with the role of annoying people. In my case, I am considered a dickhead, an asshole, and generally a piece of shit. Right? I've been called controlling. People fucking claim that I have a fucking cult or I have a god complex. But I take pride in knowing that not a single person has ever called me a sex offender, a pedophile. Holy fuck.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. I came here and the how I found out about that is I got this random message from a dude named Bracco Raccoon, and he's on Telegram. So fuck him too. Because a matter of fact, the staff friend that I talked to about it, I said, "Hey, do you know this individual?" They say, "Oh yeah, apparently he's been removed from 2 conventions and he's a hypocrite." I say, "Oh, so what the hell?" Because I didn't even know what the actual. So now it's like, okay, so how am I a sex offender? Like I don't. To this day, again, I don't even know who came up with that or who said that.
See, the
That's where
funny part, right, is that if people, I'll say our ages, all right, if people our ages, at least in the furry community, okay, no, I'll change that up. If the furry community or people in general didn't just believe senseless gossip and said, "Where's the proof?" Literally, that one line, "Where's the proof of him being a sex offender?" All right, I feel like a lot of problems wouldn't exist in VR chat. People like us, right, who are willing to tell people how things are because we just generally don't want to deal with fake bullshit or kid like behavior where we have to constantly figure out what's going on with someone emotionally, right, or deal with bullshit that isn't acceptable, right. We wouldn't have these issues. It is perfectly
yeah,
acceptable to have a disagreement or not like somebody, all right? But to go out of your way to blemish their
all
entire
that.
fucking way of being perceived, to defame them, right? For just doing something generally annoying to you or an inconvenience, all right? Or just because you just decided in your head you don't like something is a very outlandish and stupid idea, all right? Now, if you weren't showing me this shit, I would just treat it as if you're telling me a truth that could be easily disproven, aka I'll believe you, but I won't act upon anything I'm hearing. I'll mention it if someone was to bring it back up to me, type shit, right?
Yeah, 'cause I don't. Again, I don't even know where that came from. Like to this
Exactly.
day, because that's why I keep saying I have no idea who spread the rumor, who even said I was a sex offender. Because I'm like, yo, and then what
I'm
makes
still
it
wild on that
crazy.
one. That one's still wild as fuck.
Yeah, I wish I was making this up. What's crazy? That's why I was saying my friend over at TFF, the staff, he got up off of his bed because when I told him that, he's looking at me like I was crazy, and he knows me. And then at the same time, if that was the case, I wouldn't have been in the fucking military.
Well,
They
yeah,
don't play
that's
that
another
game.
thing. They don't play. Yeah, I was gonna say because
No,
the
hell
military
no.
is the military. If you have a sex offender registry as well a record, I don't think they let you in the military at all, right? If in fact, if you're
Yeah,
known for being a straight up criminal, I don't think they let you in the military at all.
yeah, most I mean, there's been some who have gotten through that do have a criminal background. It's just it depends on
The
the it's
crime.
like yeah, that and then there's certain MOSs that you can only be excuse me, be in, and then I think you can't even be like some of them you
Those are
can't
the
even be an
military
officer.
occupations, right?
Some yeah, depending on what it is,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
But
I have to
it's all
specify what
branches.
MOS is because once again, this is a
Yeah.
video. So if you say a term that someone doesn't understand, you might need to explain that term. Okay.
Oh, MOS was yeah, job is basically yeah,
Yeah,
it's just the
military
type of job.
occupation, your
Yeah.
job inside the military. But
So, yeah, you can't even do any of that when you have something like that as a background. And then even hell, there's been some people who expose certain soldiers. Some of them, it doesn't matter what ranks. I've heard of officers or NCOs or whatever, but there's been people who expose people who, being well, sex offenders or child related, problems or whatever. But yeah, no, pedophiles, etc. So they get rid of them. That's a hell no. They get rid of people like that. And
right.
me, I've never had that. I have, I'm what does they call it? They call it ETS, which is expiration terms of service. So my paperwork, I'm clean. So I don't know what the hell who
It's
came up with.
just
That's what I
it's
said.
very easy to defame somebody inside of Yarcha. The funny part, right, is that for those people who are actually trying to avoid drama, they don't go around usually spreading rumors too much. For people like us who don't really feel the need to do anything outside of what we believe or think is true, we don't really do anything extra than that. We'll speak on what we think is right or what's wrong, and then we'll go from there, right?
Right.
But for some people, they're the exact opposite of us, obviously. They don't give a fuck what seems okay or not okay. They'll just do whatever they feel is right and keep doing it until they feel satisfied, right? And that means that some people have a particular level of emotional immaturity, right, and irrationality. Because obviously, it would be one thing if you just called a dude an asshole, but to spread around that they're a sex offender is like, dude, you could get someone's life ruined, get someone killed. That there are actual repercussions for being a sex offender. Your social life dies when you have that on your shit, and it's confirmed.
and that's and that's why I said I'm having a problem here because now I have a friend. Well, Eddie, he's not a friend anymore because he believed that shit. Because he actually, that's where that came from. That's why I was like, "What is he talking about?" And that's when I found later, and I'm like, "Oh, so somebody called me that. No wonder, he was saying some stuff like that." So I
Yeah,
didn't find out, like I said, until later that year that somebody had said, "Oh, he's a sex offender." It's like, what the hell is going on? Who the hell
it
said
just
that?
sounds like someone just being a fucking honestly, someone being an actual legitimate problem, not a dickhead. You can be a dickhead and still kind of right with certain information, but you can't do that and just be considered good, right? Because that's just not it. But
And then
okay,
yeah, I lost this other friend of mine that well, I'm guessing that's what it had to, because well, one again, he blocked me and didn't even say anything and cleared out our whole log and conversation. So
I will argue this, right? And I've argued this to many people before, right? Which makes them question a lot. If someone is so easily willing to drop you without any explanation, no argument, don't even get mad, just out of nowhere, you are a very replaceable person. Were you guys ever really friends?
yeah, no,
Yeah, you can
yeah,
argue that you've known them for years, but sadly, we live in a world where friendship, well, especially up in the furry community, where it just ends like that. A real friend,
yeah,
right? You could punch in the face, have a full blown fight with, and then the next day be like, "Do you want to play games or what?"
yeah,
I mean, that's
no,
that's an actual
that's
buddy.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? That's
No,
an
I get
actual
that.
friend. But you need to have a life, like an actual life, with people who are actually genuine to even know that. You need to experience it at least once before you can actually say that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, and
So I'm
I
not
no, I
surprised
get
that a lot of people
yeah.
don't, but fuck.
That's yeah, no, I've heard of that before as far as like were they really a friend? No, it's no, I get that. And that's but at that point when people or whoever does that to me, then I'm like, "Oh, okay. So don't come back to me being, oh, well, my bad. I thought you thought no, you thought wrong. Like fuck these
Actually,
people."
I will say this, all right? I'm a person that has been fucked over, ridiculed, humiliated, straight up defamed, all right, hated on for the same, if not less reasons, all right, than a lot of people, I would argue, all right? And that's not to directly compare or contrast, it's just me speaking on the idea, right? And the reason why I would describe myself as particularly foolish is because although people do a lot of fucked up shit to me, the moment they show me a level of change, difference, understanding, or that they actually get it, I am very willing to give them an opportunity to prove that they do. And the way that I do so is just by having them generally around and telling them what I don't like and what I would like to see. The idea of forgiveness, right, is just as well, how you say, rare to see as the idea of just using your head or being or having common sense or common decency. I don't think these things should be gone from any person, good and bad. I think everyone should be able to exercise the idea of not believing everything that they hear, being willing to understand, right? Because that's an umbrella term, understanding means that you could just do an investigation or ask questions or reach out, right? Or be open minded towards the idea of something being different. And I think at the end of it, everyone should be able to be forgiving in some way, depending on the situation and depending on the severity. This means that if things are particularly taboo, right? Like, let's say you just said, fuck it, I don't really like this guy. So you murder his whole family. All right, like just like it's confirmed. You just murdered his whole family, posted pictures of them and shit, right? Obviously, we don't forgive that. We look at that like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Pedophilia, same fucking shit, right? Absolutely the fuck not. Especially if you've went on with it and actually done the do, all right? Or even just generally just like second pictures to someone you identified as a minor or was talking to them inappropriately. That as well. I would consider that a relatively unforgivable offense type shit, right? Then those people, no. But for things
Yeah,
like
that's and
personal
that's
beef, things like
right.
personal beef,
Well,
like someone being a dickhead, someone being an asshole, you having a difference in opinion, someone, someone just offending you in a way that doesn't really mean that it's being offensive, right? I think those are things that can understand someone being stupid for or believing and being like, know what? Although you caused me to go through this, you were cool as fuck. Don't let it happen again. But
yeah, no, it's
that's me
just
being
I
opposite.
can't. Yeah, no, but that's the thing is it's gonna be real hard for me to
Trust them.
accept somebody, yeah, to come back and say, oh well, I didn't. It's like no, because
Oh,
you
I'm not saying to trust
probably
them.
ruined,
I'm not saying to
like
trust them.
say anything,
I'm just saying
right?
be open to the idea that you could. They still have to prove that they are worth the time. They have to be
Exactly. That's
around
what I'm
for that.
saying.
Repairs
Right.
need to be done. And the only way you can repair something is by being there in the first place to start up the repair. You can't repair something from afar. That's not how that works.
Well, I've known like Eddie Fox, like I said, years ago. This we go so far back, living in a different state. That's how far back we go. Because he used to live in Maryland, and I used to live in Virginia at the time. So that's how far back we go. We used to go to this fur meets and stuff years ago that was close by, or a midway point that we would see each other at. So that's why I said it's somebody like that. It's like you've known me for that long and you actually believe these rumors. Like, bro, what? Now I can't again, it's gonna take him a long time to come back and be like, my bad, it's like, oh no. Cause now not only do you need to be apologizing to me, now you need to go apologize to your boyfriend because, I talked to him. Like you introduced me to him. Like that's kind of effed up. Like you're gonna sit there and make or believe something that's not even true and then
With no
oh
evidence.
well screw yeah and then screw over your friendship like that it's gonna take a long damn time for both of them. So that's why I say I don't, because when you start believing that and you just with not even asking, like you said, not even bothering to ask, oh, proof. Why rumor? So you believe a rumor. Okay.
Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes people
So
are fucking
I
like that. And it's not acceptable, in my opinion. I think it's very important for someone to always seek out the truth in the form of factual evidence than to just believe somebody, right? Because let's face it, people in this world are liars. And for some reason, in the furry community, they act like no one is capable of lying. Everyone is
right.
capable of lying.
But then when the truth come out, then like, oh shit.
Yeah, because now it's a thing of accountability. Oh shit, I was in the wrong. Some may say sorry and not mean it. Some may act like they are actually apologetic. And I think the action of being apologetic is much better than the words that may come around it. I can say I'm sorry for doing something, but that doesn't mean I mean it particularly, right? I can still do some fucked up shit and still act like you're the bad guy. That's just
Yeah,
kind of how it works. Genuine
I
connection comes in the form of action.
and as far as this whole thing that's going on, the reason why I was as far as bringing this all up, as far as the stuff that's happening here in Oklahoma with these rumors. So there, there's a guy here. He actually went to a convention, and no joke, he gave somebody chlamydia. At least two people that I'm aware of. Now, the person I'm about to send it, but obviously it's gonna their name is gonna come up because they fully blasted it out in the group chat. But she was explaining what happened and mentioned the other person's name. Now, the other individual was like they didn't want to get involved. And she's like, "Oh hell no. I'm going to expose this shit." I was like, "There needs to be more people like you cuz she's awesome. I'm glad she did this because this individual definitely need to be ousted."
Well, yes, they're
Um
causing an actual problem that I've spoken to about like two people before, right? The concept of fucking a bunch of people in VR is kind of whatever. I don't think of it as
yeah,
very respectable, but that's because the real world counterpart has so much fucked up shit, right? And due to how VR
example.
chat players' brains work, they'll literally take an action that they do in game and think it's normal to do IRL to an extent. And I think that is very stupid and also funny at times,
And yeah,
but
this
very
is
foolish.
what yeah, I was going to say this is what happened. So the person goes by Clancy. So I'm gonna mention him. This is where it gets funny about this guy. So I had spoken to him. He deleted his old account because I had mentioned something where I came. He had like in his profile, oh, I need friends, whatever, da da da. I sent him a message and I was like, hey, I saw you need friends. You good, da da da. He's like, oh, why would you message me like that? That's kind of weird. And I'm like, how is that not weird? It's like you in the military, right? It's like, hey, you've been through those briefings, right? Because I know he's in the army. See, this is where people think I'm a stalker, and it's
Because
like
you're
I'm
well
a
informed, yeah.
stalker if somebody's posting themselves in uniform. Two, they live in the state and then they're in the damn chat. And three, if they mentioned it, then I'm a stalker now because you
Well, it's
brought it
because
out in
you're well
public.
informed and they're stupid. So that's usually how it works. Well,
So no,
granted, I
she
think it's up to you to just explain it at that point.
yeah, well, what she did is she said, I'm gonna send it to you now, but this is what she said in the group chat. And he's posted stuff in the group chat of him, having sex with a bunch of people, including her. So I find it funny that it's like, hey, look, Jabati's a sex offender. And it's like, with what proof? Yet here's somebody here who just had chlamydia, and y'all, yeah, I guarantee you, because he also hangs around with two other people that I know of that I have been also told that are fucking shitty people here. So both of these individuals, one of them goes by Marv. I call him the fuck boy because literally, no joke, he does get fucked by a bunch of people. It's what I figured out is I get it. The fandom is sex related. I get it. That ain't the point I'm trying to talk
You
about
can
here.
still argue the idea of safe sex while being a sexual person.
Right. Exactly. But
I made
doing
the
this,
argument many times before, but the accountability of actually doing so and the inconvenience of being a respectable person while doing such actions is not exactly, how you say, encouraged or exercised or spoken on. When you
right.
mention a single idea of, hey, maybe we should do this for safety, you're a buzzkill. It is what it is. Like, you're literally a buzzkill, right?
And it's
Even I
funny
think
you
you're actually
mentioned
a
that.
buzzkill, but it makes sense. I can't argue with
Yeah.
that, though. But that's the point.
And
You have to say it because it's
it's
needed, not because you want to say it.
it's another person. He goes by Roswell, and he has a room party. And it's funny because
Wait,
now this is all
Roswell?
still happening. Yeah, so there's a dude named Roswell. Um, he actually has these room parties. Which this has actually happened still during that whole time with those rumors that I told you about that was spreading. This all happened while I was there at the con. So this is still relevant. Now the person, with Clancy and stuff, it's still relevant because of the individuals he's involved himself with. Now, Roswell and Marf, they're like, I guess, buddy buddies, whatever. Don't care. But the room parties that Roswell had that year, it was called a breeding roulette.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, bro. Hold on. I got something for you for that. Because most people, I'm sure when they look at this, they're going to be like, oh, man, this dude lying. He don't know what he talking about. Oh, yeah, no, 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 no. I got something. So he sent me this message. I'll screen cap it. Because when I asked him, I said, so, what's a breeding roulette? I never heard of it. Now, I was being stupid, but I knew what it was. But I was just asking him. And he's like, oh, it was just something I helped put together for a friend at MFF. You probably wouldn't be into it. I was like, oh, I was just curious. But all right. So I, me, knowing my, petty ass, I showed that to my staff friend. And I was like, hey, check this out, bro. I was like, this dude's holding a room party here called a breeding roulette. And he's like, what? I said, oh, let me show you. So I pulled out my phone and I had showed it to him. And he's like, oh, what the hell? I said, yeah, but I'm the bad one. And funny enough, he went to a what was it? He got a call. He was told he had to go to a room, um, and the hotel security went with him. Not con security. No, this is he's
Security.
already
Okay.
security.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is hotel security. Went up with him to the room, and he said when he saw it, he saw a piece of paper that was put on the door, and it literally said "reading room."
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I was not, yeah, I was laughing because when he told me this, I said, "Bro, this is all coming together." I said, "You need to thank me."
So basically,
But
somebody with chlamydia was helping host a
no,
fucking.
no, no, no. This was before. It's just that that person Clancy, he's hung around with these type of people.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he hangs around, and this is why I said, oh, now he's because somebody verified with me when I said, oh, he probably hangs around with Marf and Roswell, and they said, oh yeah, he does. I said, oh, so that's where he
Okay.
gets his,
So there are some people who knowingly have chlamydia and give other people chlamydia because they don't want to say they have chlamydia or practice the idea of safe sex,
or
and this guy
doing
hangs out with them.
something or any of those things. I don't
Okay,
know
and this
specifically
guy
what.
hangs out with them type shit. Okay, and
Yeah,
basically he's like, yeah. I was just actually like recording another video because I was in a public instance, but I was actually telling somebody right because it was a random person that although yes, all right, you may not do the action to hang around it means in some way or fashion you are endorsing it. Why? Because to not speak on it or objectively say you do not fuck with that, right? Is to somewhat say that you kind of are fine with it happening, at least in your morals idea of sense. This is acceptable because I'm still willing to be around, right? Which means that the
right.
idea of association kicks in which even if you're not doing it, you're still a bad person.
Right,
You
and
know?
that's yeah, he's definitely associated with these type of people because that's what they do. Now, what I know about the people here in Oklahoma is it's a bunch of swingers, which again, I don't care about again the sexual part of it. Like, I mean,
No, yeah, no. It's
I
fucking
have
bullshit.
artwork, whatever.
People do their shit. Yeah, when it comes to horny
Yeah,
shit,
I
right?
get it,
But
but the
the
point is
safe
you got
stuff, the
safety,
responsibility, those are the
right?
important parts that aren't practiced. And those are the
Exactly.
very important shit. All right.
And
All right.
that's yeah. So I tell people, I'm like, yo, you gotta look into this. Like, this is not something that because Oklahoma, I feel like doesn't get enough attention. Because if you already know, I don't know if you heard about it, but the whole incident about the Nazi furcon that happened here.
No, I didn't hear about
So,
that. I
oh
will
man,
say though, I will say we are coming up on an hour. All right.
right?
I will probably end the recording there and move this on to another day because I actually went straight into interview, didn't eat, and then said, okay, let's do this.
Oh man,
All right.
I'm about to say that's you
And
did that to
also,
yourself.
well, yeah, no shit, duh. But now we're covering into three different events. All right. We have the
Right.
first initial one where people just, for some reason, want to believe everything they fucking hear, no investigation, which is a bad thing to do, right? In which it also covers the idea of how furries will either avoid drama, automatically believe it so they can avoid drama, or it will lead to more drama because they are unwilling to actually figure out what's going on. The fastest way to get rid of
Yeah,
drama is to actually to solve it, not avoid it.
and
And because of
expose it
that, it's led to most more issues, right? The second one as well, go figure about fucking people not practicing the idea of safe sex and then just kind of doing fucked up shit while being sexual, right?
Right.
That's a problem. I don't think anyone really needs to explain that. That's something you get taught in schools, right? So I don't know how the fuck these people forget it. But yeah, again, I'm also the same person who said, oh, these people are basically just man babies. All right. Now, the last one, all right, I'm going to leave to a next time because we already covered up two topics and now
Oh
you have
yeah.
to sift through them. You get
Oh
me?
yeah. No, you
Most
understand? Yeah.
likely, I probably won't even edit for the sake of not editing. I will most likely make a separate video that is a minute to 2 minutes long. All right. Post that on Twitter and then link this same video after uploading it to YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. So
And
you will appreciate that.
yeah, and that's fine. It's just now this because, like I said, this is all still connected, whether because VR chat or real life, like you said, it's all together. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
I want
People
this
are people.
state. Yeah, I just want this state to be exposed because there's so much stuff, man. Like it would take more than obviously speaking here now with this interview to explain all the shit I have logged up or been gathering up and putting together because it has to be said. Some
But
because I feel like nobody's just like, we're not gonna say anything, or because like I just told you, some people just, I don't want to deal with drama. I don't want to.
yeah.
I want to expose this so the other person doesn't have to deal with it or how to avoid it.
Well, yeah, that's the whole
So
point of explaining shit and exposing it. Right now, a lot
right,
of people probably don't speak about these things. In fact, a lot of people don't speak about these things. Maybe in
and it
closed
needs to.
environments, but they don't speak on it outwardly because they know the repercussions. They know the effect. Oh, y- I can't believe you said that, bro. I don't want to deal with drama, so I can't talk to you right now. It'll change the
Yeah,
relationship of some people. You know what I mean?
and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna sit here and just be like, somebody else will do it. Because most ain't gonna do it. So I have to. I have no choice. And like I've said in my journal, it's like, I know I'm gonna get the backlash, but I don't fucking care at this point. Because now I've just lost two friends, well, what I thought were friends, you know, and this is going to keep happening. Every year I keep finding out new shit about these people or new shit about what's going on. So I'm like, okay, fine, fuck it. Since I'm already a part of the drama and I'm in it and they want to call me a sex offender, all right, cool. So you want to try to damage my reputation? All right, I'm gonna expose you. Cause I have zero tolerance for bullshit. I'm not gonna
See,
sit here and just let that shit happen. Nah, fuck that. I'll be damned if somebody ruin my career or my reputation or something because they want to make these rumors, especially calling me a sex offender. Hell nah, I'll be damned.
I get it. I don't particularly encourage the idea of revenge, even though I may be a very angry person myself. But the truth is the truth, and if this is truly the truth, truly the truth, right? I can't really say too much about it. All I can say is okay, proceed with
Yeah,
evidence,
it's
go
just
from
yeah.
there, type shit.
I just
You know
don't
what I
like
mean?
that. Yeah. I just don't like people just coming up and saying stuff with nothing to back it up. I can come up and back my shit up. I got plenty of that in terms of
That's the
proof.
same here. But you need people to listen for it to actually be believed. That's the problem.
Exactly.
And no one
Exactly.
listens when they already hate you.
And then when
Ah,
stuff like this come up, then they go, "Oh, well, I didn't
oh
know."
shit!
No,
Now
now,
you
well,
do.
now you do. Well,
Now,
yeah,
now you know.
exactly.
But all right, I will now end the video here. All right, and we'll most likely move on towards eating food as I am now starving and extremely famished. All right. It was a lovely time talking to you. Remember that next
Yes.
subject for next time, by the way. I do plan on bringing you back
Oh
on,
yeah.
okay?
Oh, trust me, bro. It'll probably take like 4 videos.
Possibly, yeah. All right. I'm going to go from there now. And this